What is up, guys? Here it's your boy Kagi, back at it again with a new video, and in this video I bring you Tom Bilyeu, right? Tom Bilyeu, that's how you pronounce it.
That's it. Yes,
All
indeed.
Right. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. For me, this is a great pleasure to have you here. This is what I know about you because I've done my research. You know, I watched some videos out there, and I know you went from being the slowest runner in high school to building an empire around content, teaching, and creating businesses. And before you give me the rundown, let me see if I got this right. So, slowest runner in high school, lazy, and cheated to get straight A's. Went to USC
all true.
For film school and failed in your last project. And I know that was devastating for you, and a point in your life where it kind of shifted, kind of like where you were going in a way. Met your wife through teaching. Your father-in-law did not believe in you. Drove around Beverly Hills in a shitty car to dream of your future. Almost got a job as an escort driver. Made a lot of money in a company you were not passionate about. Moved on to create Quest Nutrition Bars, a multi-billion-dollar business today. And you have built an empire now called Impact Theory University that focuses on meaningful content. And it also kind of connects with the nutrition because the nutrition is more like the body part. And then the impact theory is, I'm understanding, is more like the mindset, right? Part of things. Okay. So that's that. But of course, you're not stopping there. And now you're dropping an NFT collaboration with Aoki, which everybody should know who he is. But if you don't, he's a musical genius and many other things. He does many other things. He's a multi-craftsman, I guess that's the word. And then Maciej CAGYJAN. And I don't want to get his name wrong, but it's a pretty tough name.
It is, yeah. It's Maciej CAGYJAN.
Maciej CAGYJAN. He's an illustrator, a concept designer that has worked in many recognized films, games, brands such as The Last of Us, Nike, Terminator, etc., etc., etc. So that's what I know about you, and I think I got it right.
That was pretty good, man.
So if you can give us a little overview of your life, I think I got pretty much everything there. In a way, but if you can give us what's your mindset coming into this space, NFT, and why are you here? Why are you here? Because I see the way you have come into the space, and you have come into the space very smooth. Not like, here I am, Tom, multi-million-dollar guy. Just give me the cloud. You're going into the deep, corners of the NFT world as a regular person, and for me that resonates.
So about probably 6 years ago, I got introduced to the idea of rare digital goods, and they weren't called NFTs back then. And when the guy showed it to me, I thought, okay, this is going to revolutionize my business. But I was so busy building my business that I thought, the technology is not there yet. And so had it in the back of my mind, but was busy building all the things that you just talked about. And so when recently NFTs popped back up and I realized, whoa, like the technology is now mature, it's ready for prime time, we've gone all in. So this is a multi-million-dollar investment for us in terms of building out multiple marketplaces. We are, like, to really put just a quick nutshell on what impact theory is, we're trying to build the next Disney. But if Disney created the most magical place on earth, our goal is to make the most empowering place on earth. And what does a 21st century studio look like? Disney was founded in 1924. Like, it's been around for a hot minute. And so obviously the way that Walt Disney did it back in the day, there's a lot of lessons to be learned, but it's not going to look the same now. So we are a digital only company. Everything we do is digital. We do comic books is a huge way for us to develop IP. And so we do that on Webtoon, and translating that into film and TV and trying to find ways for the people that are just passionate fans of the projects that we create, wanting to find more ways for them to interact with it. That introduced us to NFTs as a technology and really looking at like where that technology can go. And, understanding it as a technology made it such a no-brainer in terms of making big investments into it and really playing hard in the space. And then I'm a psycho for collecting. I'm a psychopath for art. So, you know, all the things that drew me to filmmaking in the beginning are coming together in this moment where um, finally digital art, because even in the beginning when we were doing comics to print, I still made our entire pipeline digital. And I'm just such a believer in digital art, but it was always a disconnect of like, there's no market for the digital art because comic book artists make most of their money selling the originals. They don't make their money, unfortunately, there's not a lot of money in comics. And so I always felt bad, like, oh man, like I'm, you know, making it hard for these guys to make money off of the original drawings. So now that NFTs are here and digital artists can make a decent living, it's really, really exciting. So I think this is all around. It's good for consumers, it's good for artists, it's good for producers like myself. So it's a really exciting time. And then to your point about coming in humbly and not beating my chest, it's like, to me, it's the only way to approach anything in life is, you know, to be unafraid to make mistakes, to come in willing to learn, and then just build from the ground up. So I'm always prepared to sing for my supper.
Absolutely. This resonates a lot with your whole idea resonates a lot with me. First, I'm a filmmaker too. Don't want to go into my story either, but filmmaker too. I started right out of college. Started like, you know, a bunch of businesses. You know, clothing brand, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. So the way you manage, the way you approach this things, it resonates. It's like wow, this guy is like, it's like me in 10 years, you know. So I see myself there, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I never actually watched you until my brother, I told him, oh, do you know this guy? He's like, yeah, my brother's a poker player, and he, you know, a lot of the things that poker players struggle with, and that's because I seen it close up. It's, you know, motivation with keeping your money, you know, handling money, and a lot of things, right? So he's watched through a lot and watched a lot of things. But personally, I watched Gary Vee more in back in the day. What's his name? Tony Robbins, and many others. But then I stopped doing that. I kind of stopped watching that content because I felt like I was in a positive, you know, loop where it was like, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta stop watching stuff. Like, watching stuff doesn't do anything. So I guess I never got to you, but now I got to you. So I started watching it back again, like, you know, watching different videos and stuff like that. So that's amazing that you're coming into the space with that mentality, and with the mentality of it's okay to make mistakes. I made hundreds of mistakes. I make mistakes all the time because I have I have this personality which is like go, and at some point you make mistakes, and sometimes you don't have time to like sit back and be like, wait, how am I approaching things? But yeah, in that sense, I resonate with you a lot. I saw you recently. Yeah, before we go into the gaming, what is your purpose with this first NFT? What are you trying to achieve with this? Is this like a first edition into a next edition? Are you trying to put the comic book into NFTs? Because I did read some of your comic books. I didn't get to read the whole, the Steve Aoki one, which is the most recent one, but I did read the other one, which was really short. It was about a kid that couldn't play in the. I did read it. I didn't finish the other one. But
yeah, that one's called Hexagon.
Yeah, Hexagon. Yeah, but the neon one I didn't get to read it, so I was like, okay, so is he trying to put this as an NFT but with actual motion? What's your purpose here with that?
Well, so we'll create some NFTs that aren't tied to our projects, but our main focus will definitely be doing things around the stories that we're telling. So if you look at the highest grossing media properties of all time, the top 25, all of them except one make 85% of their revenue off of merchandise, which is crazy. Like, when you think about the fact that, for instance, Mario Brothers makes more money off of merchandise than it does off video game sales, it just seems impossible. And that's true for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's true for Spider-Man, everything. And when you realize that the reason they're making the revenue off of that is because when you love something, you want other ways to interact with it. You want ways where you feel a sense of ownership, and this thing called signaling. So you can signal to other people. You can do what's called self-signaling, where you're wearing something, or you have sheets or pillowcases, whatever, that remind you of, like, I'm Spider-Man, I'm into that. Like, you talk a lot about Axie Infinity, right? So having things that are signaling to other people what you're about is a deeply embedded psychological thing. So we want to make sure that we're giving the people that love our stories, giving them a way to have some ownership in it, giving them a way to signal to other people. And as a digital only company, it's like, you're so limited. Prior to NFTs, there were so few things you could create that were both digital and had real value. So we want to, one, if people go look, and I don't know if you can include it in the video, but if they see the NFT that we're creating, this is not a cash grab. Like, we've gone so hard to make this art like absolutely next level, and want to show people our commitment to the art, so that if we make something, like, we're making it with that person in mind, the person that the story means something, right? So my wife and I have been extraordinarily successful. We never have to work again, right? That's not what we're doing this for. Stories communicate ideas. And without, going down into that rabbit hole, unless you want to, it's when you give somebody a character that they can actually learn from, but you do it in a way that's super entertaining. So think about The Matrix, right? The Matrix changed my life. Star Wars changed my life. And giving people characters like that, and then using NFTs to give them a new context, a new way to interact with that character. So in the drop that we're doing with Steve Aoki and Maciej, it's two characters from the comic recontextualized in these really cool art pieces. And this is just the beginning, because understanding NFTs as a technology, as we do more drops, we'll get more creative with the technology, push it farther and farther. And so I'm really excited to show people what can be done.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna show it. Obviously, I'm gonna edit it over. We're gonna be able to see it. And yes, I totally agree. This technology, you can expand this right now. Okay, it's just this image that is moving with some music, sounds. But then you can take that NFT, you can attach it to like a piece of clothes in any metaverse. So if you have that NFT, it enables for you to have this character in another metaverse. So the possibilities here are like in another level. You could also create private chats, which I have done myself with my NFT. And it's like, whoever has that NFT, there's a private chat. So if I have the edition 1 that you're dropping now, I connect it to the Discord, and now there's a community of people that have those NFTs, and only the people that have those NFTs can actually access those private chats. They can access everybody can access the Discord, but those private chats will only show to the people that have the NFTs. And yeah, the technology is just amazing, and we're gonna see this technology expand into insurance. We're gonna see it expand into, we're already seeing it in DeFi. DeFi has not used it too much, the NFT part, but it is starting to pick up in DeFi. It's in gaming, of course. Art, I believe the art right now, it's a little bit more, I think a lot of artists are not innovating. They're just putting the art out there, and I would like to see more of like expanding into what you can do with your art. But I see that you have the right mindset. Of course, you understand this. You build things before you've seen them grow, and you know there's a lot of things to do here. So I saw you recently buy, you said you bought some land in the sandbox. Is that gonna connect into this? What's going on there?
Yeah, so we're making and I wish there was a better term for it, Web3, the metaverse, whatever the sort of umbrella term is going to be, but we're bringing somebody on to lead that charge for us. We're building out, so we think of the different metaverses as sort of having different use cases. So in Decentraland, we're thinking of it more as like a engage with the stories kind of way. So you can go there, you could see deeper lore about the characters and the stories that we tell. So Hexagon, the one that you read, maybe there'll be a piece of art there where you can interact with like the way that they travel from one part of the galaxy to the other, and you could go on that trip through a piece of art, something like that. And then in Sandbox, we're actually going to be building games. So we'll take and maybe it's a new game every quarter or something like that. We're exploring it right now. But so we've got all these different stories that we're telling. and we'll make games, voxel style games for them in Sandbox. And then we're looking at some other metaverses that either may expand the reach of a game like that, or it may be a totally different experience depending on, what kind of use case they attract. And that's a lot of the fun. And I share your want for artists to be more creative. But one thing I'm just utterly convinced is that over time, we're going to see use cases that we can't even predict right now. And so that's really exciting, because when I look at what's going on in the Sandbox game or Decentraland, it's already cool. But where is it going to be in 3 years? Where is it going to be in 5 years? Where's VR going to be in 7 years, right? This is going to be crazy. And so laying the foundation now, giving value to the community now, so that we're growing with them, we're scaling with them, we're showing them our commitment, we're adding value to their lives year in and year out. And then as all of this stuff advances, as artists push it forward, I think this gets really, really interesting. But yes, we take already a pretty broad view, but the real thing we're banking on is that things we can't even think of right now are going to happen in the next 12 to 24 months. And we'll be poised with the resources to move on those quickly and, quite frankly, to help innovate.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with you with the now thing. I totally agree. Where I'm coming from, if you don't push the limits of the now, then we don't get to the next step. It's not being as quick. It's just you have to hit that wall for you to be like, what's over there, right? Because if you're here and the wall is there, but you're not reaching it. The wall is there. Here's the wall, right? Here's a wall. You can do with your art many things, but you're not doing it. Like, reach the wall where you're like, that's it. I don't know what else to do. What do I do with this? And that's where I want to put artists, and not artists, everybody, to look for the furthest, wall, and just hit it and then see over it and see what's going on. And that's where I'm like a little bit kind of like always pushing for that. And I said the other day, even emotes as NFTs. Imagine having an emote NFT, like a emote card, right? That it recognizes a bunch of emojis. So I connected to Discord, and now I own those emojis. And my Discord connects to my wallet, and then now I'm using emojis in Discord. And those are things that we could do now, and I wish I had the resources or the but I put the ideas out there because I want things to pick up, right? So I totally agree. We're embracing that.
I have a feeling about you. So I saw you randomly. I was just watching videos around NFTs. I stumbled upon NFT Arcade, and watching you, I was like, there's something about this guy, dude. The way that you're almost agitated that people aren't pushing things farther fast enough, that's going to play out well in your life. And I highly encourage you to continue to cultivate that, because you have both the sort of rage cage mentality of like, come on, we got to go now, but also you're uplifting, you're encouraging. It's a pretty potent combination. You really are one to watch. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on your show. I'm on your show because I reached out, because I felt that way about you. And so, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how you channel that energy and push the space forward.
Absolutely. And I am going to take your guidance, because very important, channeling. I have many troubles. I'm not gonna lie, in my life. Not with my parents, not with my parents. My family, great, but I'm talking about me, myself. The way I have all this energy, so much energy that people think I do drugs. It's that simple. So much energy. People actually think that. Are you on drugs, dude? No, I'm not. I'm just excited. I want more. It's like this passion, love thing, and just boom, right? And sometimes you can go off track and do things that might hurt others, people might not like, but other people love it, some people don't. So it's kind of like this, like, right? So I want to channel it in a way where I'm not like pleasing everybody, but I want to be kind of a little bit more centered, right? Not too like one side or the other one, right? So I totally agree, and thank you for that. I know you're touching my ego there a little bit, but I'll take it.
No, is it touching your ego? Yes, of course it is. Am I saying that though to touch your ego? No. Mm-hmm. Am I saying it because I recognize, look, you have an energy that some people are going to say is manic, but I will say that it served me well. So when I was a kid, I was diagnosed with hyperactivity disorder, and thankfully I was never medicated. And so I was allowed to just go out and be hyper and pursue things. And when you pair that kind of manic enthusiasm with discipline, dude, it is legitimately transformative. What you'll be able to do if you can pick a point that you want to end up at and like channel all that energy into making that thing come true. There's a really great quote, and I need to memorize it because the exact phrasing is really, really powerful, but I'll give you a paraphrase. And this is the thing that I've used to construct my life. And that is that all progress is made by the unreasonable man. And therefore, to move forward, you must be unreasonable. And when you think about the level of energy that you have, it really is what people are saying is like you're putting unreasonable demands, you're being too big, you're being too loud. But that is ultimately the person that has the energy to see things through if they can stay focused. And that's, you don't want to be manic and all over the place, but when you can take that level of intensity and, you know, like a magnifying glass can do with a beam of light from the sun, you can literally light something on fire. That the same is true for people that can make huge demands, be completely unreasonable, run contrary to what everybody else says is possible, challenge rules, challenge assumptions. That's how you have the breakout success, because everybody else conforms. Everybody else gets tucked in by other people's commentary on the way that they should be, or, you know, you should be more like this, or you should calm down, or whatever. That great Kanye line where he says, they don't want Kanye, they want Calmier. And it's so true. But, you know, you look at what he's been able to achieve by being out of the box, by being manic. It's, you know, you really do have to get it under control, but it's powerful.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. That's something I've been thinking about lately, in the past few months. How do I channel this and just kind of like get on track with all these thoughts that are all over the place, but at the end of the day, I have there's a goal to it. Like that, I want that to come to fruition. Whatever I think, I want it to be there, right? But yeah, it's that crazy that look at this. This is one of the brands I did like a long time ago. It's called the fucking juice. And I think I'm gonna do it in the future. I love coffee, right? Coffee is one of my favorite things. But coffee is so like, oh, just coffee. Starbucks, so good. No, I want to walk into a place where it's manic, the fucking juice, right? Like, you know, like I'm gonna go drink the fucking juice. You know, like that's how I think about things. I want to like push the limits of things. So I appreciate that. Now back to you. Enough of me, and thank you so much for your thoughts and your words. I appreciate it. I'm gonna take them in, and I'm gonna see it through, and, you know, internalize what you told me. And of course I'm gonna run this back, so I'm gonna be listening to it again. Now, what other metaverses are you looking into? Decentraland, Sandbox, what else are you thinking about? What other games, metaverses? And I have some thoughts on your on how you can make it, you know, some of the things, how you can make it cool, and I'll go back to that, but I want to hear if you have any other like places you want to build.
Yeah, so I am really looking hard at Roblox. I think that what they've done is really extraordinary. The numbers that they're posting are crazy. And then I'm holding my breath to see what Epic does. Given the scale that they have, they could really pull something off. And then I haven't looked into this one yet, but given the description from somebody that I respect, Robin over at the Defiant, put on my radar Somnia, which I haven't looked at them yet, but super curious to take a look at that, just given the way that he described it, talking about like true 360-degree art experiences. That could be really interesting. So those are sort of the big ones that are on my radar right now. But I have a feeling, so even, oh God, I think it's Fuck Render is doing, so he's got a lot of big NFTs, very talented artist. And he is building out his own metaverse. I have a feeling it's more like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and that he'll be the only creator for it. But it'll be interesting to see. I think we'll start to see more niche things popping up. And then we're looking at possibly building our own for the different comics and things that we're creating. Not all of them exist in the same universe, but it could be very interesting to create something where people can really go in and create fan-based experiences in those things. And one of the statements that we made when we first started all this was, we're going to be the easiest company to get a license from, because we want fans to create things in our world. So that's where our head's at now.
That's actually incredible, because one of the things about these traditional companies is that they're so tight with their stuff, and I understand it. You created it; it's a business. There's dollars behind this, right? And effort and all of it, right? I totally understand. But when you have a company, without taking shots at Nintendo, you might have some friends at Nintendo. Nintendo is one of those companies that is amazing, right? What they have built. But then when a fan wants to make a tournament in the corner, right here in the corner, like in the store right here, like, oh yeah, a couple people, they put it online. If Nintendo finds out, they shut it down. How can you do that? How can you shut down your community like that? Like, what do you expect? Like a few hundred people that from town to go get a license for you to allow me to play some Smash Brothers in a tournament? Like, come on now, you know. And that's where I see. You did say like Epic Games and all this games coming in here, and they have talked about it. Epic Games, the CEO, actually talked about, you know, the Metaverse, and he sees some type of future there. But at the same time, if they come in with this mentality, this traditional corporate mentality where we own everything we do, they're gonna have a little bit of trouble here, because there's always other people building, and if they allow you to be in those worlds, to actually do whatever you want to a certain extent, then people are just gonna go over there. And it's kind of the same thing, banks versus DeFi, right? Like, why do I want to go to a bank? I don't want to go to a bank anymore. I don't want to walk into a bank. I don't trust it. I don't want it anymore. Yes, they have the power. Yes, they have infrastructures. Yes, they have all this stuff. But I'd rather do DeFi and pay $60 gas than to go to the bank. I'll tell you right now, I'm okay. I'll pay $60, $50. Why? Because I feel like I have control of what I'm doing with my money. So same thing with games and these companies. And I have a friend called Jihos from Axie Infinity, and he said, these big companies are going to come in and they're going to be passive investors rather than the kings. There's going to be new kings in town. And I truly believe that. Some companies are going to be able to adapt very well. But if you already built a business like Call of Duty, 100 million players, in one day you make $1 billion if you wanted to. One day, one drop, little skin, $10, that's a $1 billion right there. Bam, easy. Why would you come into this space, put 100 million people through the MetaMask, the thingy, the blah blah blah? You're literally gonna kill your business. And why would you come in here with that mentality when you're already making money? Why would you come in with the mentality of like, yeah, let's share with the players? No, they've been doing it for 20 years. Why they're gonna come in now and share? Then I don't see it. I don't see it. Some will, most won't. So their approach, I think, is gonna be more passive. Like, oh, I see the sandbox. I see Sky Mavis, which is the team behind Axie Infinity. Let's put a couple million theirs, and let's just sit back. And that's how I see it. I don't know if you see that.
Yeah, man, you just put your finger on exactly why businesses end up getting disrupted. So my last company, Quest Nutrition, we came into an industry that was massive and, you know, the biggest players in the world. And we ended up completely disrupting it, taking it over, becoming the largest player in our niche in 5 years. And how is it that we ended up beating, you know, these gigantic multi-billion-dollar companies? Because, and it's interesting, and we knew it would end up happening to us as well. You get to a scale where, like you said, your business model is so proven. And if you're a public company, forget about it, because now you've got to convince Wall Street, no, look, this is a bad idea today, but it's the right idea 5 and 10 years down the road. So we need to invest now in order for us to get where we want to go 5 or 10 years from now. And it's very hard to get people to do that. So it used to be that a company that made it onto the S&P 500, right, the 500 biggest companies on the stock market, If you made it onto that list, you were going to stay there for 61 years. Now it's 12 years. So companies just get disrupted so fast. Information travels so quickly. New business models come online so rapidly. And now, because of, you know, digital natives, if you grew up playing Axie Infinity and all of a sudden you get introduced to something like Call of Duty where you, wait, I built this character, but I don't own it. I farmed this weapon, but I don't get to keep it. Like, you're out of your mind. I'm so used to being able to create something and then loan it to somebody else to play the game. That's so crazy. So it's very sad that legacy businesses don't create. There's this whole concept called skunk works. And it's what America did during World War II to beat the Nazis, right? Was we couldn't try to be fast inside of a gigantic multi-billion-dollar company. So they would bring 10 or 15 employees, put them in a separate building and just say, you've got this much in budget, do whatever the hell you want, we're not going to oversee it. That would be the smart way to go about it. Because I get it. Don't disrupt your current business model until you've got something else. Make them compete, right? Don't crater this. Beat it. And you always hear the best entrepreneurs ever saying, if I don't disrupt my own business, somebody else will. But do it as a standalone, right? So if I'm, you know, Activision and I'm trying to beat Call of Duty, I'm going to spin up my own NFT game, true to NFTs, true to the NFT community. I'm not going to necessarily try to make Call of Duty an NFT game, right? But you do want to be aware of where trends are headed because so few people can pull that off. And they go out of business. I mean, it's just, that's how old companies get eaten alive.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, there's a book. I forgot what it's called. I forgot the name. But basically, the idea is minimum viable product, right? Minimum viable product doesn't work. Pivot doesn't work. Pivot, 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 right? So I think a lot of companies build that way. That's how you build a company with no money. You literally do a minimum viable product. If it doesn't work, then you pivot, and then you just keep pivoting until something clicks, right? And I think companies that go like massive ballistic, they forget that they actually started that way, and they forget to do a department, like you said, that does minimal viable product, even with a lot of money, because you could do a minimal viable product with like a higher budget, right? And I think Amazon does that very well. They build so many products. It doesn't work, next. Doesn't work, next. Doesn't work, next. And that's how they probably hit it with Alexa, right? They were just building stuff. And you know, they hit that point, and that has also flaws because Amazon is not like the best looking website that you feel like is an experience. So there is flaws into doing many things, but there's also like, you know, those one hit wonders that take you, you know. So yeah, a lot of companies forget to do that, and one company that is doing it in the gaming industry is Ubisoft. Ubisoft does have a department to they bring like little companies, like small companies. Axie Infinity was one of those, and also some other blockchain companies too. And they started building with them, and they give them feedback. It's almost like a little school, right? And that's how Axie Infinity is now backed up by Ubisoft, because they found a gem. They found a gem by doing that. So if there's anybody ahead, it's Ubisoft right now, for sure, 100%, because they're active with their little department, right? And they're looking at this stuff. So yeah, I agree. A lot of companies are missing out here by not just, you know, allocating a little bit of capital to some of these things. And going back to disrupting your own thing, and I want to go back to the sandbox because I had that thought earlier, is if you build a game in the sandbox, the beautiful thing about this is that you can regenerate. You can literally destroy it. You can be like, okay, every month is a new game. Every 2 months is a new game. Every week is a new game. That's one thing. And I don't know if you had that in mind, maybe in the future. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up is with the comic books, you can actually, I'm reading the comic book, but there's like a stop, and it tells me, well, you got to scan this barcode and go to Decentraland to keep reading here. And then in Decentraland, it stops you, and it kicks you back into the reading part, and you can just make like a loop into like different things that you have to like go around this, you know. So it would be super cool to see stuff like that and kind of innovate in the what's it called, in the comic books too, like make it an experience.
Yeah, that's where it's going to get really interesting, is when people find, because you don't want to do just I'm going to stop your reading and send you over here. But if you do like, hey, if you want to learn more about this side character, we've got a whole thing. Go over to Decentraland, meet the character, you know, whatever. You could do all kinds of stuff. And when people broaden the world out like that, like if you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe and then what they're doing on Disney Plus, that's sort of the really high budget example of, all right, we've got the films, they've got their own thread, but then we have like these side stories going on over here. You don't have to watch, you know, WandaVision in order to get the where we're going with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But if you do, you have a much richer understanding over here. And carrying that out into NFTs, carrying that out into the metaverse, carrying that out into, you know, all kinds of gaming experiences. Like the whole idea of blockchain breeding games to me is so interesting. So we're working on what will hopefully be our first NFT game. I'm working on getting a license. If we get the license, guaranteed we do it.
You'll get it.
If we don't get the license, we'll see. But would be to do it's not a traditional breeding game, but you'll get the idea of these robots, and you have all these different pieces that you can build, and then we track your win-loss record on the blockchain. And so giving people the ability to create their own NFT of like, I have built this unique robot. Like I played Destiny, the game. I don't know if you've heard of it or if you play it.
Yeah,
I love that game. You can't imagine. I play that game so much. And if I could, like Destiny fashion is like a whole subreddit. Now, if I could create my character with all of its like dope outfit and then mint that as an NFT, and now I've got, it's unique to me. I created it in game, but now I've turned it into, you know, an NFT. And then let's say that if that were a unique item that had different attributes and it had a win-loss record, and I could sell that now based on what, you know, attributes, what pieces I've put together that actually have in-game value, that to me gets so interesting. Like that would be fun. It is both a piece of art and something that you play. Like imagine you have a piece of art of your favorite character, but they can like step out of that NFT and go to combat. And then if you really want to get creative, imagine if you win, it steps back into the painting and it looks one way because you were victorious. But if you lose for, let's say, 48 hours or whatever, it looks different. It looks battered and beaten inside of your NFT, right?
Dynamic.
So now there's like this whole, yeah, exactly. And so getting into like that sort of back and forth of, yes, it's a game that I'm playing on my phone or my desktop, but it's also a piece of art, and the piece of art changes based on my gameplay, and I own it so I could sell it or rent it out. It gets crazy. And these are the bad ideas, Kagi, that we're coming up with right now in the infancy. Where are we going to be in 3 years, right? So this is where it gets so interesting. I have the chills. This is where it gets interesting. There's a whole new economy coming up, right? Where engaging with you and people like you who are thinking about this space, who have ideas, who have frustrations, who want their voice to be heard, they're playing, they're talking about it, they're connected to the community. But now, like when you have somebody, like I'm the CEO of the company, but like I'm super interested in engaging with the community, figuring out where they want to go, creating things that are dynamic, that where the asset is handed off back and forth. And this is why I'm so eager for other people, whether it's other CEOs, whether it's artists, game developers. An NFT is technology. It's not an end state. It's not an end product, right? It's smart contracts. It's metadata. It's communicating with these things that we call wallets. It's when you understand, right? So Elon Musk is the biggest proponent of this, and any business owner out there, I cannot stress this enough. You must think from first principles. So oftentimes somebody, and what does first principles mean? It means literally the physics, down to the most irreducible level. So the physics of a game is the code on which it runs. And if the code allows it and the hardware can display it, it is possible. And so now you're only limited by your creativity. And so at Impact Theory, we're trying to look at NFTs, NFT gaming, the metaverse, all of it at the code level. What's possible? Not aping what everybody else is doing. What's possible at the code level? What kind of experience do we want to have, right? So we know what we're trying to create. We want to create the most empowering place on earth. I want you to read a comic book interact with an NFT, play in the metaverse, and walk out feeling like a bigger badass than you did walking in, right? That has real world utility, okay? How did I take myself from scrounging in my couch cushions to find enough change to put gas in my car? That's a real story, to building $1 billion business. I did it by getting good at things, right? And those skills have utility. And so getting people that mindset of like, oh, I want to get good at shit. That's what I'm about, right? I want to get good at this. I want to know what I'm good at. I want to know what I'm bad at so I can get better, so I can do cooler things. It's like this whole mindset, right? Okay, cool. That's what I'm trying to get people to. Now, the first principles of what's possible is not limited by what I've seen somebody else do. It's only limited by my imagination and the first principles thinking of what the code and the hardware can handle. And when you get in that loop of feedback from community, feedback from thought leaders, understanding the technology from first principles, dude, what this is going to look like in 5 years will be pure insanity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now that you said all of that, which is amazing, right? Where do you see the space? Like, kind of like prediction, kind of like, how do you see in 5 years? I think about this in a 10-year period. Not necessarily in how it's going to be, but in my approach to things. Although I want things now, but it's to push forward. The idea is to push forward and keep jumping the hoops. Like, okay, we're done here. Let's go, right? But I do see things when I go into Axie Infinity. I don't play Axie Infinity. I don't play it, but I see the potential. I saw the potential like a year and a half ago. Nobody, like, it was a small group. And I saw the potential. I was like, yo, this is it. This is going to be the kids growing up. I know a kid 12 years old making $250 a month playing Axie Infinity. He owns a land that is thousands of dollars. Yes, his parents bought it. But you think that kid is going to ask for anything in Christmas? He could do it himself now. He doesn't, and he's understanding economy too at the same time. So I think gamers are going to become this, they're going to understand economy through this process too, because this is how real life works. So how do you see things in 5 to 10 years in the metaverse and all of that?
So I think there's 2 words that sum up my vision, and that is immersion and ownership. So to give you an idea, to buy my Nintendo back in the day, I had to take a job. I was 12 years old. I took a job in a door factory in order to raise enough money to buy my Nintendo. The thought of being able to buy things I want because I'm playing a game like Axie Infinity. So there's this great quote, and it's referencing science. One of the most famous scientists on the planet, I think it was a guy named Max Planck. And he said, science doesn't advance one insight at a time. It advances one funeral at a time. Because people become so dogmatic about the way things used to be, they forget that the next generation just takes these new truths to be self-evident. And when you've got a kid who, like me, they're just really into games when they're a kid, and they start playing Axie Infinity or whatever game gives them ownership, Roblox, and they realize they can build their own game. They can build swords. They can sell games. They can sell swords. They can make money doing the thing that they love. So now, at a time when their brain is most plastic, most being shaped, they're learning about the economy, what people want, what they don't want, understanding an audience. They're learning building. They're thinking like an entrepreneur. When you're thinking like an entrepreneur at 7 and 8 years old while playing a game, what that does when you're 18, 20, dude, it's crazy. I wasn't raised like that. My parents taught me to be a good employee. They taught me to keep my head down, do as little work as possible, and avoid punishment at all costs, right? That's how I came up. So for me to learn to be an entrepreneur in my 20s was fucking hard. It was gnarly. For a kid that just comes up getting it, building, selling, flipping, renting, like that's going to be huge. And then, like you were talking about before, the idea of immersion of, oh, I'm reading this comic, but it triggers me to go into Decentraland. And I'm, even if you're just there in your browser, you're walking around, you're meeting other fans, you're talking to the characters, you're seeing art pieces about the characters, you're learning more about the lore. Like, it's crazy. Fandom's like a real thing. It taps into some part of the human psyche. And so giving people more ways to do that other than just message boards is going to be huge. And the more immersive it is, the more experiential, meaning that it makes me feel something. the more people will feel connected to that, which for us, because we're trying to leverage the story, we're trying to leverage the character and the emotional connection you have with them to change your mindset so that you go and build the life that you want. You don't feel trapped by where you grew up. You don't feel trapped by who your parents are, whether they have good advice or not. You're in a universe of other players. You have the ability to create in that universe and to just experience it in this super immersive way. So those are the two words that really get to the heart: ownership and immersion.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And this is going to be super exciting, this whole process, because one of the things about this is kind of falling in love with the journey. With the journey of the struggles of damn, like I remember like in 2016 when I actually got into crypto, trading in a DeFi platform. There was like one, I think it was Ether Delta, super slow. It was based on actual like inputs, like people selling and the books, right? So if there was no like price that you wanted, you couldn't find it. Like if there was no like order, or the order book is what I meant. Like the order book, it was there, so you picked what you wanted to buy, and somebody could pick what you were selling. But now it's like how it has transformed, and the patience that it took for the people that believed in DeFi. And I bring DeFi because it's the most like the easiest one to compare, because NFT is so young right now that we still don't have like the whole picture. But with DeFi, there is a whole picture. Like there's a pretty big sample size from 2016-17 to now. It's 4 years, right? That you can see, holy crap, we have become something else. This is super powerful, and I want to look back in 5 years and be like, holy crap, we started in the CryptoPunks or whatever the hell, right? Crypto Kitties, and now look where we're at. And this is gonna be super exciting, and I hope to see you around in this world and be part of your journey. You be part of mine and the collective journey, and it's just gonna be amazing to be part of this and see it through, because I want to see this through. This is not going anywhere. And I sometimes I have my doubts, like, are people gonna adopt kind of this pay to play? But it's not pay to play. If you actually think about it, we put so much time into these games that it's only inevitable that things become of value. Of every single time that you put in, it has value. And if you know how to work around that, you can actually transact it and make money, right? Because at the end of the day, some people are not money makers in this industry, and in any industry. That means in the whole economy, there's people that are losers. So there's always going to be those people that are the losers, the ones that are at the end of the thing. Like they buy the thing and then they don't know how to sell it. They don't know if they bought something good, and that happens everywhere. You can go to the Nike store, right, and you could buy an expensive shoe that is already outdated, but you like it and you're like, and then later on it's not really a collectible. If you don't understand, you could be in the other end where you're not kind of transacting what you can't transact what you bought later on. So you gotta like really understand all this stuff. And I really want to empower people. For me, your impact theory thing, I've been doing this for a while now, but I don't really have the background to do this. So I kind of stopped doing it. I was like, I'm just talking blah blah blah, but I haven't made it yet. Like made it, because you never really make it, but I haven't made it yet for me to have a backup, for me to tell people, hey, do it this way, do it this way. I believe this way is the best way, right? But my community used to be called Winners Club, and the Winners Club is just we literally win. We only win. It used to be called that, but I kind of took it away. But it used to be called that. We only fucking win. We only win. Even when we lose, we win. Because in the losing, there's winning, of course. If you actually see the losing, the winning part of the losing, right? Like you actually take what you did wrong, how you can make it better, and then you end up winning. So I just want to be part of this, and I want to see you like grow here as well. And yeah, man, thank you for the interview. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, dude. It was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. And your time, thank you for your time. Time is of essence. I respect time a lot. You did say 30 minutes. I don't know. You probably have to go. So that's why I'm kind of like cutting it off here. So I appreciate your time, and I know you're a busy, busy man. I could understand. And thank you so much, for real. I appreciate it. And say what's up
Dude,
to your
thank
wife.
you.
Say what's up to your wife. I don't know her, but say what's up.
I will definitely. She's amazing.
All right. Perfect. I wish you the best. Bye bye.
Thank you, brother. Same.
Thank you.